It's the National Gun Control Victims Awareness Ceremony event. It's part of a month-long campaign that's a national event as well. And we had it because it's important to, I think, provide a more accurate counter-narrative to the narrative presented by groups like Everytown for Gun Safety. They present a range of statistics involving the impact of quote-unquote gun violence while completely ignoring the corresponding figures dealing with government tyranny, which is the core purpose for the Second Amendment. So when you look at those numbers, there's a vast disparity. 169 million people, actually more than that, killed by government tyranny throughout the 20th century. The potentially 11 million individuals that might be killed by quote-unquote gun violence over a 100-year period is a drop in the bucket compared to that. It's over a 1,000% increase in death and violence perpetrated by government tyranny. So I think that narrative needs to be presented. If we look at what's happening in Venezuela right now, between 2014 and current day, more than 250 people killed by their own government after being disarmed. In China, estimates range from 1 million to 3 million ethnic Uyghurs are in concentration camps right now. They were disarmed as well in 1996. So, these are real threats through government. Our government is trending in the direction of these two nations that I just mentioned, one communist, one socialist, especially New York State. So I think that narrative needs to be explained to the public before they jump on the gun control bandwagon.
Right, so you're letting people know that they need to look at the other side of this issue and, because it's not all what it seems to be.
I think they need to look at the data, and if they look at the data, it's very clear that gun control poses a greater threat to public safety than a responsibly armed populace, which is what we have right now. Yes, it's an issue that we have mass shootings. In terms of how frequently they occur, it's still fairly rare, but there are other issues that we're going to have to look at that are policy prescriptions that comport with the Constitution, which the SAFE Act, other laws that we have in New York State that pretty much mirror what is happening in China and Venezuela with respect to their gun control. If you look at how they're written, they're almost identical in terms of what they disallow the citizenry to have. You have to look at those things and understand that, really the gun control narrative is a false one. And if we're going to address the mass shooting issue, I think we should look at this dominant ideology of progressivism, which, gets people in a situation where their lives are devoid of meaning, and they feel like, going and shooting up a school or a workplace or a public area is a good thing to do. It's not. So we need to look at that. I think if we roll back the ideology of progressivism, we get in a better place in terms of rolling back mass shootings.